Do you feel like you're too new to exercise to be able to make changes to your workouts so your workouts actually feel good for your body? Or maybe you feel like you're not experienced enough or don't know enough about exercise to change how you're doing your workouts so your workouts actually leave your body feeling strong and feeling healthy. Well, on today's episode of the Exercise is Health podcast, Julie and I are going to break down a very simple system that you can start implementing immediately to help you start to make better decisions with your workouts and actually start to customize how you're doing your exercise based on how your body is doing right that very instant that you're doing that workout. We're going to cue the intro song and then we're going to dive right into this conversation. Welcome to the Exercise is Health podcast, where we're talking about exercise, health, and the interconnectedness of the two. We are your hosts, Charlie
and Julie,
and we will be coming to you every single week from our studio, Muscle Activation Schaumburg. Hey, welcome back, exercisers, to the Exercise is Health podcast. We are your hosts, Charlie
and Julie,
and we're coming to you from our studio, Muscle Activation Schaumburg, here in Schaumburg, Illinois, where we believe that your health is your most valuable asset. And the single best thing that you can do to both boost and protect this asset is exercise. Specifically, exercise is geared towards building the health and function of your muscles. And if you're looking for a way to continue to build the health and function of your muscles, build your strength, build your health, build your fitness throughout this holiday season and beyond, then we have something that you're absolutely going to want to check out. It is our Exercise for Life membership program. You can find out all about it and get signed up by going to exerciseforlifestudios.com/membership. Pause this, head there now, check it out. Make sure to get signed up. You do not want to miss out on this. Today, we're talking about this idea of customizing your exercise. Maybe you feel like you're brand new to exercise, or maybe you feel like you just don't understand enough about exercise. Like exercise is a really foreign topic to really change how you go about doing your workouts. Maybe you're thinking, oh gosh, every time I do a shoulder press, it bothers my shoulders. And so you're always looking for like that magic bullet, that one special exercise that, okay, when I do this one exercise, it will actually start to not hurt. Like my shoulders will feel good while I'm doing it. And then that can be my way. That can be my exercise. Well, if you've ever felt that way, number one, you're not alone. And number two, we completely understand, because it can be really overwhelming trying to figure out, okay, how do I go about exercising in a way that's right for my body? Well, today we want to tell you, you don't have to keep looking for those magic exercises any longer, because we want to give you a simple system that you can follow and implement today in order to start changing how you're exercising and truly customize your workouts for your body.
You're right, Charlie. I think this is something that once people understand how to do it, it really will transform their workouts, because you're right. So many people feel like there's certain exercises that don't work for them, and either they just avoid it altogether, or they feel like, oh my gosh, there's so much I don't know about exercise, so I don't know, what to do. And then there's also the group of people that are brand new to exercise. And they're like, well, of course I don't know anything about exercise. I've never done this before. And all I have to go off of are those little 4x4 signs that are on each exercise piece of equipment. And I have so many clients that are like, well, I do it like this because that's what the sign says. And those signs serve a purpose of like, hey, this is generally how you use the machine. Sometimes they're way off, but most of them kind of give some kind of general thing. But then it is our responsibility as the person doing the exercise to customize and change how we're using the exercise, how we're using the machine, the settings, how far, what the setup is. That's why there's multiple setup things. And when there's not, Charlie and I can teach you how to make it so there's multiple setup options, because really these machines and exercises in general need to be customized, or what we like to call body matched, so that you're getting the biggest benefit from them. They're not bothering you, and they are having the biggest impact on your strength and on your health. So in today's podcast, we're going to share a system of how you can take the exercises that you're already doing and make them custom to your needs.
Yeah, that really is a big thing, making it custom to how your body is doing at that moment. Because a lot of times we might watch a YouTube video or we might see some exercises in the magazine and we might try them out and decide, okay, whether or not they're feeling good for us, on that day. But then what do? Well, we have to come back and we have to do them again, right? Like we have to keep exercising in order to keep getting the health benefits. Well, what happens between your last workout and your current workout? Life happens. Like maybe you slept weird. Maybe, your energy is off. Maybe you're just, feeling a little bit funky throughout your body. And so now those exercises that felt pretty good the last time you did them, maybe they're just not feeling so good. Maybe you're feeling a little bit more worn down today, or maybe there's actually some pain or some tightness while you're doing the exercises the way that you did them previously, even though previously they felt fine. Now your body is in a different state for whatever reason. And in that moment, we have a decision to make. We can really choose one of three things, right? In most people's heads, it's one of two things. In most people's heads, it's either, okay, I'm not going to do it today. Like I guess I'm just not going to do this today because it's bothering me. Or they're like, well, I'm just going to push through. Right? Like those are the two options that most people see, but we want to offer you a third option today, which is to reconsider and change how you are doing the exercise to make it feel good for your body. And like Julie said, we have a simple 3-step system that anybody can follow to start to implement this and start to see these results and changes within their bodies and within their workouts.
Now, we're going to walk you through this 3-step system that, again, you can apply to all of your exercises and your weight training. But if you want to try them live with us, we're actually doing some live workouts right now on our Facebook page. So we'd love for you to join us. Just go to Facebook and look up Muscle Activation Schaumburg. And right there, we're going to be doing for the 1 week after Thanksgiving, you guys can hop on to free workouts where we're going to be using this principle all the time. So if you like the hands-on, join us there. And if you want to listen, we're going to review it now as well.
And if you're listening to this, you're like, crap, I knew I should have kept up to date with their podcast because they are going to release awesome deals and great information that I'm not able to grab anymore because I'm a few weeks behind. Don't worry. You can still get access to those workouts and all the other live workouts that we're doing, again, by going to exerciseforlifestudios.com/membership.
Okay, so let's jump into these 3 steps. Now, sometimes when we're doing these podcasts, Charlie, I always feel like, wow, this is so simple. And you guys are going to see how simple this is, but then I'm going to give you examples so that you know how to apply it, okay? Because that's where it becomes difficult. It's like, it's so simple to know that we should all exercise. But then when we go and apply that everyone should exercise, that's when it gets tricky. So here we go. Step number 1, you have to start in a comfortable position. And it's like, okay, well, obviously, I should start in a comfortable position. Let me give you an example of this. One day, me and my client, we were going to do push-ups. And I put her in the push-up position, on the floor. And she's like, okay, Julie, well, I'm just in this plank position, which is the start of a push-up. It's bothering my back. It's bothering my wrist. It's bothering my shoulder. And so that's already 3 red flags that we should not be doing that exercise. And that it wasn't customized to her needs. Like if her body is already talking to her and she hasn't even started the exercise, she's just in the position, that's a red flag. So we already had to manipulate her starting position. So I had to put her up so that her hands were like at a countertop height. I used one of our MAT tables and we had to modify how her feet were positioned and the rotation and orientation of her wrists so that the starting position checked out with her body. So her body was like, yeah, okay, this is okay. So before you even start an exercise, never start in a position where your body's like, no. So make sure that you're comfortable, whether you're on the hip abduction, any exercise, your arm exercises, your shoulder exercises, dumbbell exercises, free weight, body weight exercise, all that stuff. You need to manipulate the starting position so that it's comfortable and your body is not already telling you that things are not okay.
Yeah, this is a big one. I think maybe the 3 biggest exercises where I see this violated are the leg press, the chest press, and the hip adduction machine. And I say those 3 because what often happens is people try to shove themselves into a further starting position like a leg press. They try to get, crammed so close to the leg press even though it's violating their hip and their trunk range of of motion, and then they wonder why their hips and their knees and their back and their ankles feel all wonky after doing that. Or the hip adduction exercise, they'll actually try to really shove their legs apart farther and farther into abduction and really try to push them apart to, start from as far apart as they can, and it's stressing out their hips, and they're starting to feel this, pinching feeling in their hips. Or the chest press, they'll try to start, all the way back as far as they can, trying to get a stretch in the chest, and then they're like, wow, gosh, not only am I getting a stretch in my chest, but I'm also getting an ice pick right in the front of my shoulders. This exercise sucks. And it does. It really is not fun exercising when your body hurts. That's the truth of the matter. But implementing this very first step of, hey, don't think about trying to do like the most extreme range of motion starting position. Just start where your body feels comfortable. Like that all of a sudden eliminates 90% of the, potential issue, because you're already from the get-go not jamming yourself into positions that your body's like, yeah, we shouldn't be here right now.
Yeah, it's amazing what happens with our exercise when we start listening to our body. So if you're exercising and it's hurting, right? And there's a difference between muscles hurting or your joints hurting versus muscles working, right? So if you're doing it and it's hurting, you should stop. And there's really only one way for our body to tell us that this is not good. And that is to give you pain signals. And so when your body's giving you pain signals, you need to manipulate the exercise. Because again, it is our responsibility to make this exercise thing custom and body matched to our body's needs and mechanics, whatever they are that day, whether they're your normal or abnormal. So make sure that you're manipulating your starting position so that it feels comfortable.
Now, step number 2 is once you have started in that comfortable position, as you go through your range of motion, you want to make sure that the entirety of your range of motion is comfortable as well, okay? A lot of times there's this notion that so many people get caught up in is we need to be using our full range of motion. And look, we will not argue that you shouldn't be trying to use as much range of motion as you can that's appropriate for your body. But where people start to get in trouble is when they look at one person doing a squat or they look at one person doing a push-up and they say, wow, look how low they get on their squat. Wow, look how their chest touches the ground when they do a push-up. Oh, I mean, they're fit. That must be how you're supposed to do it. And so now I'm going to try to use as much motion as I can to get my chest to the ground, to, sit on back on my calves, when I'm doing a squat or whatever. Okay. And so yes, you want to make sure that you are starting in a comfortable position, but you also want to make sure that the entirety of the range of motion is also comfortable as well. And you are not exceeding what your body can do from a motion perspective, what is appropriate for your body from a motion perspective.
Great. So an example of this is, let's say you're going to do some squats. Charlie threw that one out. And the top position is comfortable for you. The starting position for a squat is you're standing there doing nothing. So for most people, that's pretty comfortable. And then as you start to fold at your knees and your hips and your ankles, you're monitoring. Like, hey, does this feel like just work and muscle work, or is there pain happening? And let's say there's tightness developing in your heel or your knee, or there's a zinging, pinching pain, whatever is going on in your joints and in your muscles, you're listening. And if nothing happens, well, then you go down as far as you'd like to. That doesn't make you fall over, and you come back up. But if you're going down and you start having a sensation, any kind of feeling that's outside of muscles squeezing and contracting, you're going to stop. And then you're going to go back up to the top comfortable position. You need to stay in the range that your body says is okay. See, the more that we stay in the ranges that our bodies say is okay, even if externally you might look at it and be like, well, I only did half reps. I didn't even do the full thing. I'm doing a modified whatever. Well, the more that you do the customed stuff for your body, the more your body is going to give you, and the more you're going to be able to build off of this. The false belief that the current fitness world like feeds us is that we have to be pushing our limits, pushing our boundaries, no pain, no gain. And this is absolutely wrong. We need to be respecting our boundaries and listening for when our body puts up boundaries, which usually is presented by pain.
Another example that I see these scenarios is like with the shoulder press. Okay. So like a shoulder press, you might be standing, you might be sitting, but your hands are basically going from about shoulder level to, overhead. Like that might be considered somebody's like full range of motion, or as much range of motion as they can do. But I can't tell you the number of times that I've had clients come in and reaching up all the way overhead, it feels really uncomfortable for their shoulders, whether it's like a sharp pain or like a deep ache, and then going all the way down so your hands are right at your shoulder level, like that feels really uncomfortable for their shoulders. And so the way we end up doing a shoulder press is we're using pretty much like the middle third of the range. And you might look at that and you're like, okay, well, that doesn't look like a shoulder press. And like, well, according to who? According to what reference? Because if we're talking about this person's body, this is where it feels good for them to do this motion of the shoulder press. Yes, they're not going all the way down to the shoulder and they're not reaching all the way up to the top shelf, whatever. They're staying in that middle third of the range. But guess what? We're able to strengthen their muscles. They're able to feel a great connection with their muscles. And over the course of the session, over the course of multiple sessions, we often see that the range of motion that we can use with them, and that their body says, okay, yeah, this is appropriate. This, feels good. It starts to increase. They're able to start to get a little bit closer to having their hands by their shoulders. They're starting to get a little bit closer to reaching all the way up with their hands. And so it's not this idea of like, okay, well, I need to be doing this full range of motion according to the textbook every single time I do the exercise. It's like, no. What is your body saying is appropriate for you right now? And then just abiding by that, just abiding by, however much motion your body says, okay, first this starting position feels good, is comfortable, and the amount of motion that we're using feels good and is comfortable. Great. Stay within that.
So step 1 is finding that starting position that's comfortable. And step 2 is discovering the range and respecting the range that is comfortable, right? And listening to those boundaries that your body might throw up. So you might be like, all right, Julie and Charlie, got it. Okay, I've done all these exercises. I know this exercise, I'm on setting 3 and 4. And this one, I start in this type of position, but not this position. And you might be developing this big story in your head of how this works. The last step number 3 in customizing exercises for your needs and for your body is going to be changing these starting positions and changing these ranges. And that is where the beauty of customizing your exercise comes in. And why is this one the most important? This one is the most important because this is how you change your exercises as your body changes. You might go to the gym one day and, your body's feeling, probably mediocre. And you start to exercise and your first set of everything might have some kind of interesting starting position and some kind of range that seems little. It doesn't seem like you're doing all that much. But usually as we warm up, our body gives us more range and more comfortable starting positions. So that's when you need to take that step and say, I know set 1 was like this, but now set 2, my body says I can do this. This also happens over time as your body gets stronger. The stronger and more functional your muscles become, the more motion your body will allow and the more motion that your body will say is okay. So this step 3 is the most important piece, consistently changing as your body is changing.
And not only changing as far as like increasing your range of motion, but also changing in terms of decreasing your range of motion when your body says, hey, you know what? The amount of motion that we used last time, I can't do that right now. And actually that may be your first indicator that you decide, okay, yeah, like I'm good for today. I don't need to work out anymore. My range of motion is starting to decrease. So by paying attention to this and by making these changes from one set of your exercise to the next set, not only will you notice your body improving over the course of the exercise or can notice that, or may likely notice that it's improving as far as, your range of motion changing and things continue to feel good, but you'll also start to notice a moment when your body says, yeah, this didn't feel the way it did last time. This doesn't feel the way it did, during the last set. It feels a little bit worse. It feels like we can't move as far. It feels like this starting position is feeling a little bit weird. And then that is your first indication to say, okay, you know what? We're good for today. Like we don't need to do another set of this. My body's reached its limit. And that's when okay, we're going to call it quits for today.
Great. Now, those are our 3 steps that you got to keep in mind. And if you want to apply those with us, please jump in on our live workouts that we're doing the week following Thanksgiving, Monday through Friday. And additionally, if you missed that, please check us out online and you can do it with us in our workouts. So what is the problem if you don't follow these 3 steps, right? That's always like, Julie and Charlie, do we really have to be this technical? Why don't we just go in and just do the stuff? Well, here's the thing. Just doing stuff doesn't work for a lot of people. First of all, there's a huge problem that exercise making you feel worse is starting to become normalized and has been normalized, where it's like, oh, you should feel cruddy after you work out. You should feel tired. You should feel achy. You should feel sore. You should not feel any of those things. So if you are feeling any of those things after you exercise, try these 3 steps and you will notice that it completely transforms how you feel after you work out. Second of all, not using these 3 steps really limits your ability to use a lot of exercises. Like, so many people have an entire list of exercises that they don't do because they can't figure out how to make it work for their body. Try these 3 steps.
Yeah, and just to build off that first point that you made, Julie, the idea of, our workouts should leave us feeling lousy. We are so against that, obviously, with our exercise philosophy and everything that we talk about on our podcast and through our content. And what we're really trying to promote is this idea of your workout today should set you up to work out again tomorrow, okay? And so if your workouts today are leaving you feeling lousy to the point that you need to take a day or more to recover before you can go back and exercise again, well, guess what? That's a day or more that you went without getting the health benefits of exercise. You might think, okay, well, what's the big deal of that? Well, look, if you're exercising 3 days a week, that means there's 4 days out of the week that you're not getting the health benefits. It's over half the week, over half of your days, you're not getting the health benefits. It means over half the days, your health is going downhill because you're not exercising, okay? And so it's really of the utmost importance when we're thinking about, our exercise longevity and like our actual longevity and our ability, our physical longevity, our ability to do the things that we want to do in life, for as long as we want to do them. Being able to have your workout today set you up to come back and work out again tomorrow truly is of the utmost importance. And the 3 steps can help you do exactly that. Because when you start to implement them, you'll find that your workouts actually leave you feeling really good. Not only at the end, but during your workouts as well. Like, there's not the pain, there's not the pinchiness, there's not, the soreness that lasts for days or whatever. Like, exercising actually feels good for your body when you consistently implement these 3 steps, which means you give yourself the opportunity to consistently build your health, build your strength, build your function, build your stamina, and be able to take that body that has better health, has better strength, has better stamina, has better function, and you get to bring that into your life and use it to do all the things in life that you really enjoy doing. And that's truly the name of the game with this exercise piece. So if you're looking for a way to receive guidance, accountability, and more education in real time during your workouts on how to go about doing this, check out our Exercise for Life membership program. We created it specifically for that reason. So you could follow along right with us while we are teaching you these body matching principles and our other principles to help you exercise for life, all with workouts that you can do from the comfort of your own home in under 20, 25, 30 minutes. Like, they're really super time efficient, but they are focused on building your health, building your strength, building your function, building your stamina, so you can take that new version of you and bring it into your life and do whatever it is that you want to do for as long as you want to do it. So if you're interested in that membership program, go to exerciseforlifestudios.com/memberships. That's a plural, studios with an S at the end. exerciseforlifestudios.com/membership. You can find out all the details and enroll there. And while you're online, head on over to Apple Podcasts and leave us a rating and review. It helps people find our podcast when they're looking for information on exercise and when they're looking for information on health. So if you found value in this conversation today, let us know by leaving us that 5-star rating and review. Well, thanks so much for tuning in. We always appreciate it. Have a fantastic week, and we'll talk with you all next week. This podcast is for information purposes only. The statements and views on this podcast are not medical advice. This podcast, including Julie and Charlie Gates, disclaim responsibility for any possible adverse effects from the use of information contained herein. Opinions of guests are their own, and this podcast does not endorse or accept responsibility for statements made by guests. This podcast does not make any representations or warranties about guest qualifications or credibility. This podcast may contain paid endorsements or advertisements for products or services. Individuals on this podcast may have a direct or indirect financial interest in products or services referred to herein. If you think you have a medical issue, consult a licensed physician.